All right. So today I have Jamie Wright with Wright Family Law, and she is a family law attorney. And I just wanted to welcome you and thank you so much for giving us some of your time today. I know you guys are super busy right now. I don't know what's in the air, but holy cow, family law attorneys are incredibly busy. I don't know if it's different this year or if it's something in the air or what, but it is crazy, crazy busy. So I want to just start out with a question just about your background. If you want to give us a little rundown on your background and how you got into this crazy
Sure,
business.
sure. Thank you, Karla, so much for having me. Like you said, my name's Jamie Wright. I am a sole practitioner at Wright Family Law in Centennial, Colorado native. So the importance of that is I grew up on the Western Slope. So we take cases all over the state, primarily Denver Metro. I live and work in Douglas and Arapahoe County. So a lot of my referrals are from that area. But like I said, we practice all over. And, in this day and age, a lot of things are handled remotely. So it's very
Yeah.
easy to do. Um, I was licensed in 2004. I worked in the student law office doing family law and just kind of fell into it that way. Really enjoyed working with people as opposed to pushing paper all day, and have been doing it ever since. So my practice is devoted 100% to family law. What does that mean? That is divorce, that is custody, that is child support, that is pre and post nuptial agreements, that is adoption, that is post decree cases. So a lot of issues come up after the divorce is done, and those are all post decree issues or after you have a court order. And I do a little appellate work. So kind of run the gamut of all family law issues, and we work with everybody, men,
Awesome.
women, and so yeah.
Yeah. I think a lot of times people think that just because we are female that we prefer to work with women. And I mean, I know for me personally, that's not always the case because I'm also the breadwinner in my family. And so I can relate also to a lot of men that kind of feel, like we're all against them. So I think that's important to note that, we don't just work with women, although that might be, I feel like that's primarily what comes to me in my divorce practice, but
I see. Yeah, and I appreciate you saying that. And I just wanted to put it out there because some firms hold themselves out as, we're dad's rights or we're
yeah.
victims' rights or whatever. And I'm really interested in, helping whoever comes through my door in the best way that I can, irrespective of their situation, right? So my practice is probably 50-50, to be honest with you.
Very nice. Very nice. So you said something really quick, and I know I have some questions lined up and you
Yeah.
said them already. I'm going to go off script a little bit, only because you mentioned something that I don't know a whole lot about, and so I'm interested. So a post-nup. Can you tell me how does that work? When does that apply? Why? When do people put those into place? Because probably when people need to put them into place, it's probably not the most comfortable time. So I'm just curious, like in your experience, when does a post-nup go into place?
That's a good question. And they're not as common, certainly, as a premarital or a prenuptial agreement. And I see them generally in two scenarios. The first one being that they just can't get it done before they get married, right?
Mm,
And they know they're both committed to signing off on this. You've had situations where, in lieu of giving you legal advice, you really don't want to sign a prenuptial agreement very close to your wedding date. And so we'll get agreements to sign off after. And so at that point, it is a postnuptial, but it's very close to the marriage date. So we still call it a postnuptial agreement, but it's generally under that sort of scenario. So we just couldn't get it done.
got it.
Uh, the second scenario is where perhaps some couple has separated and they don't want to get divorced, but they want to have some sort of contractual arrangement that may protect them going forward in the event it happens again. So that could be, a longer term marriage, and here's what we're going to do in the event of a divorce at this point. Again, it's just a contract, but it offers the same sort of protections as a premarital agreement.
Okay, good to know. Good,
Yeah.
good. Thank you. Thank you. Um, let's see here. So I know that like each divorce is unique and everyone involved kind of goes along their own journey through the process. If you could change anything or give any like heads up advice to somebody that's just getting started going down this path, what would that be?
I like that question. And I like that question because it makes my job easier, right? So you can do some divorce planning. And by divorce planning, I don't mean, go move money around and hide things and do some shady stuff. But what you can do is make sure. I have a lot of people come to me, men and women, that have no idea what they have, right? Just because of a normal division of labor in their household, they have not been involved in paying bills, or they haven't had access to bank accounts, or managing money, and so they really don't know what their marital estate looks like.
Mhm.
um, they may not have passcodes to accounts. They may just don't know what's there, right? So to that extent, I would say get your hands on what you can get your hands on as far as documents. Like, look at your tax returns, look at your bank statements, start paying attention to that stuff. I'd even go so far as to say, create some kind of itemized list of what's out there, even if you can't get um, the statements and whatnot. The other thing is, establish kind of what you want. Um, think about, do I want to keep the house? Can I keep the house? What is my budget going to look like if I've been a stay-at-home mom for 15 years and I need to go back to work at some point? What am I going to do? Just kind of having like a game plan as to what this may look like when it's over, right? As opposed, and I certainly can offer a lot of advice on, what to do in that regard, but to have an idea of that stuff coming in is super helpful.
Yeah, I think, and that's, that's a lot of what we do is we try, I think people think they don't need to come and talk to us until everything's over and done, which is complete opposite. We need to talk to them early on and throughout the process, right? To help them through that because they don't know. And especially in today's market with where their values have gone, where interest rates have gone, they are shocked at what their new mortgage payment might be when they have to buy out their spouse if they want to keep their house. And so, like things like that, they don't know until they actually see the numbers. And I think
Absolutely.
sometimes they don't want to see the numbers, right? So they avoid that. Um,
Absolutely. And I agree with you, Karla. Like, I would get a good team of support. Like, that's another component of the planning. It could be someone like you that's going to help figure out the numbers with real property, or someone like a divorce financial planner that's going to help them figure out a budget. Someone like an individual counselor that's going to help them manage emotionally. So just establishing a good support team in that regard with other experts is super helpful.
yeah, absolutely. And the documents, I mean, I know how hard it is for us to get documents out of people to buy a home. And, at least once they get under contract, then they have more motivation to get that to us. But I can imagine the struggle that you have getting documents because nobody really, I mean, I know people want to get divorced and get to that finish line with divorce, but it's like not a fun road to go down, right? So, I can imagine their motivation to get you the documents that you need is not, it's just, they're not super motivated, right?
It's not the favorite chore for sure.
Yeah.
And especially
Yeah.
when you've been out of the loop to try to figure it out, it's really feet dragging. So, but you got to do it. And just as you got to do it when you're trying to qualify for a loan, you have to do it when you are trying to get a divorce agreement or go to court. So,
Yeah. Yeah. Untangling is not fun.
no.
So let's see here. Well, we actually kind of talked about this, but so I can imagine, so the benefit of someone who's going through a divorce to have a strong divorce team, what do you recommend as far as what to look for when selecting an attorney? So what is it, I guess, what is it that makes you stand out?
Yeah, I appreciate that. Yeah. So in kind of seeking out a divorce attorney, family law attorney, I think it's important to be able to connect on a personal level. And by that, I mean just meeting face to face. I think you need to establish your rapport. You'll know right away whether, in my opinion at least, whether you can connect and work with this person, just to see if your personalities mesh from a little bit of conversation, right? So I think face-to-face meeting is important. I think that you'll get a sense of whether you can trust that person. And I think it's at least my practice to establish some very reasonable expectations, right? If you meet somebody that's telling you you're going to get everything you want, I've never had one case like that in 20 years. So I would find that hard to believe. So reasonable expectations, and spending the time. I know I bill by the hour. I get it. Our time is valuable, but I spend as much time as needed in an initial consult just to answer all the questions, because that's super important to make sure a new client leaves with an understanding of what the process is going to look like. And I'm not going to cut it off because my consultation ends in an hour. So someone that takes the time with you, I think, is important.
So I guess with all of that said, have you ever turned down a case? Or do you turn down many cases, I guess?
Yeah, I turn down work not often. Sometimes, there's a conflict that doesn't happen as frequently, or it's just, I'm very, honest as to my schedule is not gonna, your case is super complex. My schedule is not gonna allow for that. So it's less been an issue of I don't mesh with this person than, I just can't devote the time that this is gonna take. So.
Okay.
Yeah.
What is something that's super, super time consuming?
Oh gosh.
Odds.
Appeals. Just, you can see cases that come in. I just had one walk through the door. When you see litigation that's been going on for like 9 years and it's not stopped,
Oh my God.
There's something there that's going to be super labor intensive because litigation is labor intensive, and if it looks like there's going to be a lot of litigation, that's always it's not a red flag. I like to do it, but it's going to be time consuming.
So is that like after 9 years, is that somebody that's already divorced and they just have ongoing stuff? And so
right.
Why do they end up walking through your door and not, like, did their attorney retire, or did their attorney say, I can't do this anymore? Or
yeah, all of the above, right? I've seen attorneys kind of that they retire, they get sick of it. I mean, one another. It's just, a variety of reasons. So yeah, it's crazy, but it happens more than you would think, these long drawn out cases.
Yeah. I think I know of some of
I'm sure.
yeah, I know of a couple of those. So do you have one, or even if it's more than one, really memorable case that you've worked on? And if so, what impacted you the most out of it?
So unfortunately, I thought about this a lot. The memorable cases tend to be the high conflict ones that you really don't want to remember, right? Because they're it's a level of trauma for me that, I expect comes with the job, not a huge deal, but they're memorable because of that. But I do have one where I really admire. It's been particularly women that I've represented where they have been, let's say, the stay-at-home mom, and they have just been so resourceful and not let their situation create them to be a victim, but rather pull themselves up. I have one lady that in Mesa County, it was a stay-at-home mom. I think they had 5 kids. She was working at a hotel, and she just went to school. She did everything she could to put food on the table, and now she's a licensed therapist. She refers me clients. She's making more money than her husband was making when they got divorced. So I love to see that stuff.
Yeah.
Good.
That's very cool. Yeah. That's very cool. I think too, like along those lines, because you're right, it's very easy to be the victim, especially if you didn't want the divorce, right? And I think that's cool that she went down that path and then became a therapist, right?
The irony, right? No, it's amazing. And frankly, she helps women that were in her situation, and she was a victim of abuse, and so she could have easily played
Yeah,
that role, and she
rightfully so.
didn't.
Yeah.
And I just really admire that.
Yeah. That is awesome. That's super
Yeah.
awesome. I guess, well, I mean, is there anything else is there anything that I missed or anything that you want to talk about a little bit more?
Yeah, no, I think that I appreciate the conversation and the opportunity to get all of this information out there. I think that people need to know this is a terrible situation. It's going to get worse before it gets better, but it will get better, and you will come out on the other side. And to the extent you can prepare yourself in the way that we talked about, as far as compiling support and planning, it's going to be better. And so if anything comes across today, that's certainly what I would like.
Yeah. And I think too, I get a lot of people, because I have the CDLP divorce lending on my signature on my email, and I get a lot of joking comments back from people when they see my email and they're like, oh, what's a divorce lender? And it's not that I'm out there advocating for divorce or, hey, ladies, give me a call. I can help you take them to the cleaners. It's nothing about that. And it's just about helping them through this, right? And how do we get them whole on the other side? Because I mean, I have seen divorces just completely wreck people. And so for me, and it sounds like exactly for you, it's just how do we take this problem and solve it as best we can and put them on the right path moving forward,
100%.
Yeah. So where can someone who might benefit from your expertise learn more about you? I think you do have a website out there.
I do have a website. It's jamiewrightlaw.com, www.jamiewrightlaw.com.
Okay.
Yeah, there's enough contact information and whatnot. It's not super detailed, but I have a paralegal that's been with me for a very long time, and all of my clients love her, and
Awesome.
she's happy to talk with anybody. So what I was going to say is, on the divorce, putting that by your name, is because I'm always hesitant when people at my kids' soccer game ask me what I do for a living. Well, I'm a divorce. Obviously, you're not advocating for that, but there is a need. There is always a need, and someone always wants to talk to you about it. It's like, so thank you for saying that.
Yeah. Hey, with that said, I want to put something past you because I want to see if you think I'm right on this. I think that after the first of the year is really when divorces start to pick up, not meaning that they're filed then, so there's no data on this that I think would show that, because that's not when, like, you don't file the second you decide to get divorced, right? So, but I think, and I've been divorced, so coming from being in that space before, I know you're always trying to find the right time, and it's never the right time.
That's right.
Right. And so you just keep going until right. And so then I feel like, well, let's like get through the holidays. And then I think by the time the holidays are over with, and then being here in Colorado and it's cold and like kind of like, you're like, all right, that's it. I'm done. I've had enough. Right. So I feel like January and February are huge divorce months. Do you think I'm on board?
That's funny. I always try to see like the ebbs and flows. What are the patterns in my business? Since COVID, it's like nonstop. I hate to say that, but I cannot pick up on any patterns. But generally speaking, people are quieter in the summer because a lot of people, do these summer vacations and try to hold it together. Then around the holidays, you're right. There's always an emergency about parenting time, but most people are not filing during the holidays. So yeah, I would agree with you. Right around the late winter, early spring, a lot of time people will get their tax refunds and then have the money to hire a lawyer or file for divorce or whatever. And then when school starts back up, ironically, I'll see a little bit of an influx, and I don't know if that's because, kids are back to school and the schedule leans out or what, but best I can tell.
And you guys are busy. Do you think you're so busy from COVID because you guys are still backed up from COVID? Or do you think it's because people were all locked up together during COVID and they can't stand each other?
Yeah, I think it's a latter, unfortunately. I think COVID, I had one couple reconcile, but it's really the rare. I'm seeing most are not only more filings, more clients as a result of that, but people are more high conflict, just fighting more over stuff or issues that I would say are not super major and shouldn't be fighting about. So it's been
Oh,
strange. It's been unfortunate. It's been
okay.
strange. And really everybody in my business that I know is in the same boat. We're just very, very busy.
Yeah, same. That's what I hear. So,
Yeah.
all right. Do you have any final thoughts? Anything that you want
I
to?
don't. I really appreciate your time and this
Thank
was fun.
you. Yeah, this was fun. So thank you. Thank you so much for doing this with me. And of course, I appreciate your time. I know you're super, super slammed, and it's been hard to connect with you just because I know this is not anybody's favorite thing to do. So I
No,
appreciate
this was fun and I'm happy to chat. So,
awesome. Awesome.
all right.